This is Actar's Reviews, from anime to figures and beyond. Hey, this is Actar and welcome to another episode of Actar's Figure Reviews. From the main heroine of Toaru Kagaku no Railgun, Misaka Mikoto, we move on to the titular heroine of Toaru Majutsu no Index. Yep, everyone's favorite loli nun has finally been given a Figma rendition of her very own. Before the figure was even announced, there were many doubts as to how Max Factory was going to handle Figma Index. With her extremely conservative outfit, surely it would be impossible to make an Index figure that would count as an action figure. Even if her skirt were to be made of, soft PVC, it would be just way too restricting. But it was then that Max Factory did the unexpected and revealed that part of her outfit would be made out of cloth. How does it work out for the figure? Well, we'll be finding out in just a second. But first, let's take a look at the box. We have Gakuen Toshi aka Academy City in the background with a number of magic circles thrown in for good measure. Index on the side, and on the back, your usual collage of pictures showing the figure off in various poses and detailing the accessories that she comes with. So let's open this up and take a look at the contents inside. So here's Figma Index out of the box and ready to chomp on some heads. Aside from a cloth robe, Figma Index is a rather simple Figma in terms of design. Though don't get me wrong, most of the clothes are sculpted beautifully with all the lovely folds and movements that do add another level of dynamism, and I really do love the effect with the cast shadows. But other than that, the only sculpted detail that you have are her safety pins and the ornamental detailing on her habit. The habit can indeed be removed, and there is an exchangeable hairpiece included, sans the unsightly hole if you ever want to display her like this. And I know this may seem insignificant, but I really have to give them credit with regards to Figma Index's hair fringe. What with all the intricate and precise sculpting, this is definitely a marked improvement over Figma Fates from years ago. Paint-wise, you have some gorgeous metallic gold trimming all over her outfit and a coppery color for her safety pins. Moving straight to what everyone is making a huge fuss about, her cloth clothes. Talk about ingenious, though to be fair, they have been already including cloth in previous releases, such as Kamen Rider Knight's cape, Koyo Academy Haruhi's sleeping bag, and Suruga's Rainy Devil raincoat. Whatever the case, as I've said in previous videos, the two materials that I love to see in figures are die-cast metal and cloth, because it really is something that is rarely seen incorporated into such small-scale figures, and it does give the figure some sort of added prestige. But only if the implementation is well executed, and in this case, it certainly is. The cloth is made of a nice material and it perfectly nails the look of, well, cloth, and it does resemble her on-screen counterparts pretty perfectly. Come to think of it, this is literally as accurate as you can get. Aside from just aesthetics, the cloth does serve a practical purpose in this case. The cloth is utilized to enable her legs to have more freedom of movement. Imagine if this were actually made of solid PVC or even soft PVC, her legs would only have this much movement. It would also have left her waist literally immovable. But with the cloth, you can get her into walking poses, sitting poses, and more. But of course, despite being made of cloth, this restrictive clothing design still doesn't allow for spectacular articulation. I mean, not that you need it though, considering the fact that Index isn't an action girl. Not to mention, hey, it's accurate to the show. Now I know some people don't like cloth because it does somewhat blur the line between dolls and figures, but for me, as long as they continue to be as smartly incorporated like in this case, I really do hope they receive more of this in the future. Still, not all of the outfit is made of cloth, as we do still have hard PVC in crucial areas to preserve the anime look, and as I did mention before, I really think they nailed the blowing in the wind look. It does hinder articulation to a certain extent, but it's so swept back that the extent is minimal. And since you're on the topic of articulation, her head can move left and right and up and down quite a fair bit. Despite the fact that her front hairpiece is actually made of soft PVC, the back hairpiece, being made of one completely solid piece of PVC, does tend to get in the way sometimes. Her arms can move forwards and backwards, in and out. It is on a double ball joint, once at the body and once at the arm itself, to give that extra little bit of more natural posability. The shoulders do bend quite a fair bit. The hands can move forwards and backwards and rotate all the way around. And because of her cloth clothes, she does have a rather unrestricted waist joint that can move forwards and backwards and turn side to side to a certain extent. Regarding her leg articulation, we've already talked a little bit about it earlier on, together with her cloth skirt. However, I did forget to mention something pretty interesting, and that is, being made of cloth, you can actually do something quite interesting if you just need to have that added bit of leg articulation, and that is what all girls with long skirts do when they need to have that added leg movement, and that is to pull her skirt up, and you can get that added bit of articulation that way. But as you can see, her legs are just the same as all the other Figma figures. The knees do bend a great bit. She does have a leg joint that can move forwards and backwards, in and out. She can also swivel her leg side to side this way. And I think she just did the can-can. But anyway, as for her feet, they can move forwards and backwards, side to side this way, and side to side this way as well. Accessories wise, first, as always, the Figma basics. The Figma 3-jointed stand with a peg extending upwards at about 45 degrees, taking into account Figma Index's hair, the Figma base, and the Figma Ziploc bag, essential to keeping all of your accessories in order. Figma Index also comes with a plethora of hands that range from close-fisted to ones that will allow her to hold her accessories. In terms of character-specific accessories, first off, we have one of the most important ones, a set of clasped praying hands for when Index recites her incantations and spells. Unfortunately, they did not include a serene, closed-eyed exchangeable face, which would have complemented this accessory perfectly. Speaking of exchangeable faces, included is a serious battle-ready exchangeable face and a sparkly-eyed one. And when does Index get sparkly-eyed? That's right, when there's food nearby. And when there's food, you will need a knife and fork. Yep, we have cutlery included with Index. That's how much of a glutton she is. While it does a decent job at being a knife and fork, these accessories just beg to be made out of metal. Last but not least, we have Sphinx, Index's pet cat. Again, it is a nice inclusion and it's aptly detailed for its size. However, it's molded in such a way that you can only post him on Index's head or arms. Now, I suppose you can display him by her side, but it does look a little weird. Being a character that honestly doesn't really have many accessories related to her, I think that they did a respectable job with including as much as they did, because she does come with everything that she really needs to come with. But there are a couple of things that I think that they could have included. For instance, what about more food, such as the yakisoba pan from the very first episode? And what about an exchangeable face piece that has her biting Toma's head? Now that would have been freaking phenomenal. In conclusion, Index is unequivocally a successful Figma figure that is deserving to be in your collection if you're an Index fan. Now, there are some flaws, such as the lack of any standout accessories, but it does do what it does well, and that is being a good action figure representation of the titular loli nun. The application of her cloth clothes is inspired, the details are all there, and she looks, for a lack of a better term, superb, especially when displayed together with the other characters from the series. So, the Zach are saying, see you guys in the next episode.